Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of AI related to Amazon, FBA, product level, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring you a special guest. His name is Matt Anderson, and he's the board advisor of actually a company I have invested myself, and I think it's one of the top solutions out there when it comes to reporting and analytics and all the finances of Amazon business, which is Thriven, and also board advisor another amazing company which is Dragonfly AI, where they specialize on anything that has to do with leveraging AI within your business. So the reason why I want to bring Matt today is actually before going live we were just having a quick conversation about how AI is disrupting the space, how agencies are embracing it, how sellers are embracing it, what are some of the things you should consider. So I think today's conversation is going to be all about AI, how also you can start utilizing that within your creative operation, your finances, and much more. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot of value out of this conversation. So Matt, pleasure to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. And I'm all good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I know we met in person actually for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the event in Amafest.
Amafest.
Yes,
That's right. Yes, yeah.
That's right. So yeah, so some of the things you were doing, and I was really keen to have you on the show. So for those that might not know you, just give us a quick intro by yourself, and then of course let's dive into the conversation.
Yeah. Hi. My name's Matt. I've been in the world of digital marketing and e-commerce for about 20 years now. Amazon 15 years. Started selling out on vendor with a brand called Brabantio and scaled that across UK, Europe, and USA. Was found out I was pretty good at this Amazon thing, and then basically started Marketplace Amp off the back of so it's my second agency. So I've been in agency sort of 17 years, and I've most recently scaled that and exited to Optimize On. So my last position there was I was Chief Strategy Officer, looking at sort of strategic transformational change for e-commerce brands and FMCG. So that's a lot of my experience. I'm a brand builder, marketeer previously, I'm very interested in the world of where brand, e-commerce, and AI meet at the moment, because it's a real melting pot, and that's my journey's taken me in that direction. So most recently, Dragonfly AI, which is a creative analytics platform used by big enterprise brands like Reckitt and Coca-Cola and L'Oreal, for example. So that's a really interesting space. And then working in Thriven, which is back in like a lot of my core, looking at Amazon sellers and how to make the most out of Amazon, and knowing where your true profit lies within the Amazon ecosystem, which is even more important. And no doubt we may mention the T word with Trump tariffs later on. That everyone's looking at their margin as well. So I mean that's a really interesting space. I guess we go through reinventing yourself throughout your career, and I'm at a point where I'm a bit of reinvention and really enjoying this space. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes. I think the topic of AI is definitely something that is in everybody's mouth, and it's definitely affecting a lot of business. And of course now the decision is yours, if you either embrace it or you just cry about it and unfortunately let AI to take over whatever you're currently do, especially if you're a service provider. So I guess from everything you're doing at Dragonfly, let's start with that. Like, what are some of the biggest changes or trends that you're seeing and now coming to the space that are really being disruptive when it comes to AI?
Yeah, I think one thing is, we mentioned it previously, just prior to starting the podcast, is how the world of creative has been changed, forever now. You could argue there's been some really, really cool things. I'm not just talking about making action figures of yourself, as much as we like doing that on Chat GPT, but practical, real world applications of being able to create, really good product renders just from a photo of a product. You get your samples in from the Chinese factory, and then you can create renders really, really quickly that would typically cost several hundred, if not thousands of dollars back in the day. And so that's really sort of moved on an awful lot. I think in the world of creative, you think about some of these big enterprise brands that like Reckitt, they've got their own internal design agency pumping out huge amount of content for all these different brands on point of sale, on e-commerce, on advertising campaigns, etc., but not knowing what is effective, and being able to control brand compliance, all these things that not being disrespectful to sellers, but one of the good thing about being, because I'm launching a brand myself later on this year. One of the things that when you're a small seller, you can be flexible, you can test, you can learn, you can make mistakes. But when you're a big enterprise agency brand or a FTSE top 100, you can't do something that could be a huge PR disaster with the brand creative. Or a lot of the best brands like Coca-Cola have got this brand consistency of image, look and feel. By that I mean, I'll show you the outline of a Coca-Cola bottle. Everyone immediately knows it's a Coca-Cola bottle. It's that sort of, it's indelibly printed. So my point is how can you control brand? How can you be consistent in a world where everyone thinks they're a graphic designer now and they can just pump out content with ChatGPT? It's a real interesting space.
I know. Actually, I wanted to ask you something about that, because I know when it comes to generating content, there's so many tools out there. But at the end of the day, some people is still sometimes concerned with things such as copyright infringement, or the
Yes.
consistency of the output, or making sure that you have enough control over those assets, so they are not out there. So what is your take on that, and how some people can mitigate some of those risks as of now?
I mean, I think one of what was really interesting in my journey is that the larger the company, the less it would appear, the less widespread adoption there is of AI. And the main reason behind that is data security and data compliance. When you're uploading these images and this text and this information into large language models, in theory, that could be then recalled by the AI and then pumped out. So you could be releasing company secrets or things like that. So that's one of the sort of key areas really that you need to be mindful of. And also having not being over reliant on the AI output. I mean, I've seen some interesting examples on LinkedIn where you've got like part of the prompt in the title and things like that. People have just been really lazy and just uploading content straight out of the AI. You need a human and an AI co-pilot, I believe, to be as a seller. You need to be checking the output. You need to be polishing it still. You need to have some workflow process in there for like QA, quality assurance. And it's something that I'm exploring is like, rather than just running a ChatGPT on its own, is building AI agents and getting them to work in groups. So you could have like your ChatGPT that's pumping out your Rufus optimized copy, but then have other AI agents which are checking that for brand consistency. Like you've got your brand guidelines, and there's AI going, okay, well that's great, but you need to change it because this isn't on brand or whatever. And there's a compliance agent that going, actually, well, you can't say this because it's supplements because of checking the FDA compliance issues as well. So I think that's really interesting. If we can get to that point, then that's going to really supercharge and automate things, because the issue is that I call it the Pandora's box has been opened with ChatGPT, Image Gen, and Kling, and all those really good, cool tools. I mean, they're fantastic, but how do you control it? And then there's Getty Images and Ghibli and various people sending the lawyers round trying to sue OpenAI and everything, because if part of my design ends up in someone else's design through an AI, where's the copyright? And legislation is trying to catch up with it all, I think, and the ethics is really key as well. So there's lots of potential, but there's potentially lots of minefields that could
Yeah, that you have to
really
be
hurt
careful about.
companies, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think is why we're having a discussion as well. It's like I think the perfect thing that you definitely can do to maximize what AI can bring to your business is have a hybrid approach where, of course, the human side of things is still super important during this process to
Mm.
do all the reasoning that you just did, but then you use AI to do the heavy lifting, which before would take you hours or days. Now you can do in a matter of minutes, but with the input that you know what things you can do, what things you cannot do, and then effectively you can move so much faster compared to the processes or the teams that you require before to achieve the level of outcome, right?
Yeah.
Mm,
I think things like, I guess by humans, we're always attracted to the really cool things like, making Ghibli figures and cartoons. Great. That's good. But I think AI's the real potential is streamlining research workflows. Keyword research, SWOT analysis for a market. If you're the sellers listening, that if you're going into a market and you go onto Perplexity, which is one of my favorite AIs for
mm,
research, and you put a prompt together and say, act like a chief marketing officer, give me a SWOT analysis of this market, of these products, few competitors you might have seen, and ask it to come back with a full detailed SWOT analysis or a pestle analysis. I was just recounting when I was back in the day when I was doing my marketing and PR and things like that, 17, 18 odd years ago. God, I feel old. It would have taken weeks of research, of looking at other companies and digging through the information. You can really surface an opportunity quickly as a seller, as a market, to use these AIs to do all your desk research really quickly and have all the information there to go, okay, to find the perfect product. Another thing, I know Joe's been very good at doing that with Helium 10. You can export the reviews
mhm.
of really popular products and ask the AI to analyze that. Look at the strengths and the weaknesses. Can you create me a product
Yeah.
based on the issues? So I think there's some really interesting areas that I think are less sexy. Let's face it, but
Hmm.
I think have got even more potential for the e-com space.
Yeah. I think the other interesting topic on our ring is agents. I think AI agents
Yeah.
is definitely the next thing because it's pretty much like having employees at your disposal, but they work 24/7. They don't take
Yes.
any
Yeah.
holiday. They don't get sick. They don't get paid. Like it's like it's crazy. Like the amount of things that now you can do with agents. Like, how you embracing that? Are you already having some experience with them? Do you think we're already at a stage where they can automate a lot of processes within a business, or they're still like a floppy? What do you see with agents when it comes?
I think agents are one of the best examples, and I think for agency listeners as well would be like a meeting booking agent. The amount of outreach you have to do for sales when you're B2B, and we've all done that. You and I, spamming people on LinkedIn and what have you. But when you have inbound inquiries on your website, I had someone email me the other day going, "I was going to get my secretary to email you and book an appointment," and I'm like, "Have you not heard of Calendly? Have you not heard?"
Yeah, exactly.
There's lots of tools already out there that can automate a lot of that process. And then if you have an agent that can respond to someone and goes, "Thank you very much for your inquiry," get some basic details, book a meeting with a human, an expert, that then you can those agents are very easily done, created with things like Made or NA or Zapier, for example. So there's these very basic processes and it goes down to sellers and agency owners to really understand their timesheets and where's the time sink in your business, and find a really simple task that's easy to automate and automate it. You don't have to do the the slam dunk shot straight away. It's just getting those basics in place and then build your knowledge from there. And that's certainly what I'm doing. In my own brand is each process I've broken down into steps, and I'm going through it and go, okay, how can this be automated? Can it be improved better? And so it's have fun with it as well. We're all in e-commerce for a reason, because we like technology and we like what makes people tick. So I think people in e-commerce are particularly they've got a very strong skill set when it comes to understanding AI
Yeah,
faster
for
than
sure.
other industries, I think.
For sure. And I think something I get asked a lot as well is like, how to actually stay on top of all these changes, because when it comes to AI, every single day it seems that a new tool is released, a new piece of technology that you can leverage within your business, and it can get overwhelming. Like, you don't know which one is the most effective, and here and there. So do you have some resources, or do you have a process that you recommend for people to filter all the noise out there and come up and use the actual tools that can be impactful for you, right? And all the tools that are being released, as I said, by the hour
I,
when it comes to that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think I immerse myself in my feed on LinkedIn and Instagram, and follow a number of AI resources out there. I have to say, there's quite a few snake oil salespeople
Yeah.
come and sign up to my course and finding
Yeah.
good ones. Rita at PPC Ninja, as Joe, and as well.
Yeah.
That are very good within the Amazon space. But I would say that get I'm doing a course at Imperial College London, but there's MIT and there's
Mm.
Oxford University, which yes, there are more expensive courses out there, but I think I just took the view to just immersing myself in that respect. When it comes to ChatGPT, they've just released prompting courses, and also a AI agent course. So ChatGPT's got its own free courses, and I would say I'd urge people to immerse those, find those out online. There's a ChatGPT cookbook which has recently been released about the latest model, about getting the best out of it. Hey, there's a little hack, if you're asking Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity, you're going, hey, could you help me with the prompts for this? This is what I want to do. Can you give me some inspiration?
Yeah. I'm sure
AIs
even
give
the
you
course was done by them,
yeah, absolutely. So ask your AI about prompts, and have some like. But I mean, I think really what you should do when it comes to putting prompts together is, like, what if you're asking an AI agent to act like a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, it gives it context again. Okay, right. Well, now I'm these are the principles of how I'm going to approach this problem, and be very specific about laying out what you need in the context, and do's and don'ts as well. So structure the prompts in a way, in a conversational way. Obviously, the more information you can give AI, whether that's RAG or data sources, the better.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I've just cut across it. But say, for example, when I'm doing content for my own brand, I've got brand guidelines which I've put together. So you give the AI those brand guidelines, and give it the tone of voice that you want, rather than, otherwise you'll be iterating over and over and over to get what you need.
Cool. I think, talking about, you just mentioned content, but at the end of the day, there's so many areas, as you mentioned, within a brand or within an agency, that you can use AI for. So I guess what I'm going to ask you next is, which areas do you think is a must that you can't ignore AI anymore? Because at the end of the day, you can do AI for so many things, like we're talking content. There's also advertising. There's also listing optimization. There's also the finances, which I want to briefly touch, because on the three things side of things,
Yes.
we also do things with AI. So tell us, like, which areas you think, like, in 2025, like AI must be part of it. Yeah.
Well, it's any software development, I think, is that's big. I've saw some podcasts recently that talking about software engineers will be a thing of the past. I doubt that right now, but I think for the lead engineers, there'll be work, but having other junior members within the team to sort of generate code, don't really need that. You've got things like Claude is very good at generating code for AMC queries, for example, Amazon Marketing Cloud queries. It being one example, JSON, Python is right. It's very good at programming.
Yeah.
So I think if you're looking to quickly develop or ideate an app or a website or those types of things, that AI should be really getting involved with it and having a look. And then content creation, online copy. Very, very much should be looking at that. We'll talk about our friends at Amazon and what they're doing around their own sort of AI studio, and whoever's been involved with Amazon for the last 10 years, more and more automated processes, responses, scripts, etc. How's that going? So I think very much you should look at around content creation, software development, and research. Those sort of three areas that are ripe for sort of change, really.
Cool. So I guess the one I wanted to bring now is the finances. I think that's what I really think can be very disruptive, because let's be honest, most Amazon sellers don't know their numbers. They don't know how much money they're making. They don't know where they're losing money. They don't know where are the areas they have to optimize their business of operations. So tell us what you're seeing, especially now that you're an advisor for Triffin, like how you think the finances of a business are going to be impacted by implementing AI moving forward.
Yeah, but I think this, as you know, all margins are being squeezed at the moment, based around sort of Trump tariffs. Obviously, the latest issue that we have. So there are three areas. One is advertising spend, and the traffic pillar is obviously super important. It's pay to play, as we all know, within order Amazon, TikTok, and elsewhere. Is how we manage that spend and how we focus it on a profitable assortment of products. My point is that if you're advertising a product that isn't profitable, then why the hell are you doing it? Because you're losing money. So, and if you don't know that piece of information, then you're going to really struggle to optimize for profit. So we should be driving traffic to SKUs ultimately that have the highest margin. We should be looking at, okay, if you have a loss leader or a small margin product, shall we call it, that gets the customers into the product range that you're selling, how can we upsell some more profitable products? How can we drive lifetime value of those products in the world of supplements, for example? That's super important. So strategically, if you don't know the numbers about what is the true profit of your products, what is the true lifetime value of your products, you're going to really, really struggle. So one is like the truth. And by that, I mean is a majority of tools out there for looking at profit on Amazon are based on estimates. They're based on the order API. So they're based on, then the fees therefore are based on estimates. And then you have issues like, particularly with products where you have lots of subscribe and save, you have consumers buying the first time to get the discount, and the second time they'll cancel the order. So if you're based on fee estimates, you could think your revenue and think your profit is much higher than it actually is, because consumers are cancelling orders after time. So we should be looking at the payment reports and the actual fees that have come through. Those lines that pop up that you didn't really think about at the start when you're launching, issues around rework, issues around labeling that you might not have thought about. So getting down to that true profit reality really is really super key. But looking at SKU down, not to shop, but to SKU level profit is really, really key.
Yeah, I think that the SKU level thing is actually something I can tell you, because we do a lot of audits. Almost nobody does. Like they only always see profitability at top of the business,
Yes.
and then they forget about the details in terms of how by removing some of the bleeders you can significantly increase your profitability, and people is not even aware of that. So it's such a easy thing to do, but that can completely affect your business, and people don't do it. They only see the bottom line profit and make a decision based on that, So
yeah, this was Pareto's principle, isn't it? The 80-20 rule of 80% of your revenue is going to be coming from 20% of the products, and you could break that down into profit as well. Where's the profit coming? Because and I found this in agency as well as sellers as well. That okay, well, what we're selling on Amazon. Well, we're going to sell everything. We've got 1,500 products, and we're going to optimize everything, and we're going to advertise everything, and we're going to create video for everything, and we're going to try and send samples to influencers for everything. It's just like, and the costs just balloon like that. It's like, no, guys, what's profitable? What's driving that revenue? focus on what's driving your profitability. And yeah, because it's crazy, you end up just being busy fools otherwise.
I know, I know.
Creating great content for products which is that are not profitable, that won't sell, that just sit in the warehouse and cost you money.
I know, I know, I know. It is what it is. So I guess, Matt, it's been a pleasure. I guess to conclude, is there any last piece of wisdom you want to share with us in terms of, trends that you see coming up, advice, anything that you think like, okay, people should be aware of this? Yeah.
Um, I think it's just to be, really key and around about the world of AI is it's not. I would people not to worry about their jobs. It's just another skill. I know people were worried about the car when it first came out, the Ford, and changing industry, and it would be a bad thing. I think it's just technology evolves. So I think certainly it's embrace it and learn it from and focus on an AI that is relevant to yourselves. Whether that's Chat GPT, that's fine. Try not to get lost in a lot of the hype and what the ultimate trend is going to be, but sort of focusing on what's really important for your business. So I think Chat's interesting. Perplexity, obviously Jeff Bezos invest in it. It's got a one-click sort of buying AI agent in that. So we should be looking at that as e-commerce. Claude is great for software and copywriting as well, actually. But there's loads more obviously tools out there. But I'd say, start small. What's costing you a lot of time and money? Automate. Focus on that one thing and automate it. Get the team learning. I'm almost pushing 50 now, and I just look at every day as day one, like the Amazonians say, and just like keep learning, keep on being open to opportunity. Has been my advice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. So I guess I'm sure people want to reach out and have a deeper conversation. How people can find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Matt Anderson, or dragonfly.co. dragonflyai.co, I should say, or 3fin.io as well. The two businesses that I'm working with. Just feel free to get in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So have a good one and take care. And hopefully I see you soon at upcoming events. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. Adios.
Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.